on this card. Ujamal Palaharas, Mike Swick, Paulo Tiago, Spencer Fisher, Thiago Tavares, Louise Kane, Brendan Schaub, Big Nog, Ross Pearson, Shogun, Forrest, Yushin Okami, and Anderson Silva. Some of the fighters that will be on this card here in Rio. I'm just going to give, for some of you that don't know, I'm going to give you guys a brief introduction to some of the gentlemen sitting up here on stage. Brendan Schaub will be taking on Big Nog. Brendan Schaub is from Colorado. He's got a record of 9-1 with 8 knockouts. He was a finalist on season 10 of The Ultimate Fighter, and since then he's become one of our big up-and-coming heavyweights. He's knocked out Gabe Gonzaga and Mirko Krokop in his last couple of fights, and this is a big fight in the heavyweight division. Obviously, we just saw what happened last week with Junior Dos Santos. He won his fight and will now face Cain Velasquez for the heavyweight championship. And the winner of this fight between Big Nog and Brendan Schaub puts one of these guys right in the mix in the heavyweight division. Antonio Minotauro Nogueira, a true legend, not only here in Brazil, but in the sport of mixed martial arts. This guy is known as one of the toughest men ever to compete in mixed martial arts with a record of 32-6. He's beat Dan Henderson, Mirko Krokop, Randy Couture, and the list goes on and on. He's had a 12-year career. Big Nog's had an 18-month layoff due to an injury. But this is a guy who's very dangerous on his feet and on the ground, and this is a big fight in the heavyweight division. Shogun Rua versus Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin is the original Ultimate Fighter, coming off season 1. And basically, I say it all the time, we are where we are today because of that fight that happened at the finale of season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter. Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner, one of the biggest wars ever on free television. He's got a record of 18-6. Not only did he win season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter, he's also a former light heavyweight champion. He's beat Tito Ortiz, Rampage Jackson, Rich Franklin, and Shogun Rua. This will be their second fight. The first fight was an absolute war, and he ended up choking out Shogun in the 3rd round. Shogun Rua is one of the greatest fighters of the last decade. He's one of only 2 men in MMA history to win the Pride Grand Prix and UFC World titles. People love him all over the world because of his fighting style. He goes in and goes right after people, goes for the finish, tries to knock you out, and he has knocked out Alistair Overeem, Mark Coleman, Chuck Liddell, Lyoto Machida, and many, many more. One of the most exciting, charismatic fighters in the world. One of the things about Shogun's had some problems with his knees. He's had a few knee surgeries, which he's had to lay off and take some time off in between fights. I'm not a big fan of guys taking off time and laying off in between fights. It makes you rusty, it slows you down, it throws off your timing. Shogun is back. He's coming off a tough loss for his title, and he's looking to gain some revenge here on Forrest Griffin in Rio. The main event, Yushin Okami versus Anderson the Spider Silva. Yushin Okami is one of the top-ranked middleweights. He's the #2 guy in the world right now. He's a powerhouse in this division. He's one of the winningest fighters out of Japan. He's the last guy. Anderson Silva, you hear me say it all the time, is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, but I'm going to say a lot more about him today. He hasn't lost a fight since 2006. His last loss was to Yushin Okami. It was a disqualification. Since then, Yushin Okami's been on a tear in the UFC. He's taken out Mark Munoz, Mike Swick, Evan Tanner, Alan Belcher, and he just dominated Nate Marquardt to take that #1 slot in the middleweight division to get the opportunity to face Anderson Silva, where he wants to come in and put another blemish on Anderson's record and stop the amazing run that he's been on here in the UFC. Should he beat Anderson Silva here in Rio, he'll be the first ever Japanese UFC champion in history. Now, Anderson Silva, I say it all the time, like I said, he is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. But I want to let you guys know something. If you didn't know this, he hasn't lost a fight in 5 years. He's never lost in the UFC. Last time he lost to Yushin Okami was October 2006. He's got the most title defenses ever, with 8. He's got the longest win streak ever, 13-0. And in my opinion, he's the greatest mixed martial artist ever. Ever, period. And on August 27th, right here in Brazil, he'll be defending his title and looking to add on to his incredible numbers. That's all I've got. Who's got the first question?